Inflation is a red hot topic for markets this year, and tomorrow we have some insanely important news regarding inflation in the United States. And there's a couple markets that are probably going to spike like crazy. And in this video, we're going to discuss some trade ideas and what to expect going into tomorrow's CPI report. Let's get started. Before I get too far into today's video, let me make sure to remind you guys about our flash sale that we're doing right now for memberships. We're looking for more people to join our Discord community. Inside of the group, you'll be able to see the trades being taken by myself and our other top analysts here at A1 Trading. As we go into the CPI report, there's probably going to be a lot of trading opportunities and things should be pretty exciting. So don't miss the flash sale. What you can do to get access is there's a link down below in the description. And if you have any questions, please reach out to Drew. He is one of our staff members here at A1 Trading, and he'll help you out with getting a membership for a super discounted price. So send a message to Drew or sign up using the link down below in the description. And I hope to see some of you guys inside of the Discord. Okay guys, so we're taking a look here at the CPI news that is forecasted to come out tomorrow at 0.2% for the CPI month over month and the core CPI month over month at 0.4%. What does this mean and why does it matter if you are a currency trader? Well, here's the thing. If you are trading things that have USD in them, or if you're trading things like gold, or you're trading things like the stock markets, these markets are going to be heavily hit one way or the other with this CPI news. And I'll tell you why. Right now in the United States, we have record inflation for the last, I don't know how long, a long time. We've been seeing inflation levels that we haven't seen in decades, and the markets are really being hit by that. If we take a look at, for example, the S&P 500, the S&P 500 on the daily chart has been really hit hard by this inflation concern and the Fed's stance on, rate hiking to try and combat that inflation. Now, going into this news tomorrow, it matters so much because, if inflation continues to rise, that means the Fed has to do more to try and combat inflation, which means stocks could get hit harder, the dollar could rise, and, gold could sink through the floor, all sorts of things, right? So let's take it bit by bit. And we'll start with probably the most hot topic. Let's discuss gold. For a lot of the currency traders, this is a big one. So let's look at this. What happens if CPI numbers come out tomorrow and CPI, high inflation, comes out? We get higher than expected. This would be the dreaded result for markets. This would actually cause, believe it or not, the gold market to likely go down. And we could see continuations of this downward trend that we've already been seeing for weeks now. CPI going up means that inflation is higher, concerns around that could go up, and the dollar will probably strengthen. That sounds a bit counterintuitive, and we'll talk about that when we talk about the dollar in a second, but just understand that rising inflation will probably cause the Fed to be more hawkish, which puts more downward pressure on the gold market. And in fact, going into the news tomorrow, we have a major area of support that the gold bulls probably don't want to see break, and the gold bears are definitely looking to see if we can break it. So here's what we're looking at. We take a look at this trend line. We can draw what we see to be a strong downward trend on the 4-hour chart. We are currently sitting at what we would consider a strong level of support, right? You've got demand here that came in, but now we're sitting back and we're just stuck sitting on that bench, right? We're trying to see if we can hold this level. Now, again, if inflation comes out as a higher than expected number, this is probably going to take down the lows. And if that happens, there may be extensions going into the rest of the week to the downside on gold. In this case would be the worst possible scenario for CPI in terms of gold going up. Now, if CPI comes out as less than expected, it's very possible that the gas could be let off on the US dollar. And if the dollar has a little bit less pressure on it to the upside, it's possible that gold could get a bit of relief and we could come out and perhaps even break out of this downward structure. And this brings me to trade idea number 2. Either ways, you could potentially trade these concepts, whether you're long or short biased. If we see a breakout on the gold market here of this downward trend line, there may be opportunities to trade in the direction of the breakout to the upside. Now, again, this would have to mean that CPI numbers were far less than expected. that would cause the market to probably rush to the door on selling USD, and perhaps gold then could rise. So for the gold traders out there, those are two scenarios that we are looking at depending on what the news comes out as. Again, we don't know the future. We don't know the news before it comes out, but we do know what we could potentially plan for either direction. A break to the upside, a break to the downside. That's what we're trying to forecast here. So if we do see gold make a major move to the upside, there is perhaps some breakout retest opportunities, and maybe even we turn a coin for gold bulls. On the flip side, if CPI numbers come out high, if inflation is still a major problem, the USD will probably continue to reign supreme, and we could see breaks and retests on the gold market to the downside. So this is how we're setting up both potential scenarios on the gold market. Next, let's take a look at the dollar itself. The dollar is flying high, and I saw a chart recently on assets that are positive for the year of 2022, and it was like everything was down: stocks, bonds, commodities like gold, silver, yet the dollar was up. And this is because the dollar is benefiting from this hawkish Fed that we're currently seeing. The Fed being so hawkish, raising rates, and trying to combat this inflation story is causing the dollar to gain a lot of value relative to other currencies. And sometimes people are very confused about that. I mentioned that earlier. Why is a rising inflation figure causing the dollar to go up? Shouldn't it cause it to go down? Well, here's the explanation behind that. If inflation fears continue to rise, markets are forward thinking. They're not, looking backwards and trying to price. What they're doing is they're trying to forecast what's going to happen next. If inflation is really high, then the dollar will go up because the Fed is likely going to try and step in and raise rates. And raising rates, as we know probably, is positive for the currency. So people are forecasting, if CPI numbers come out high tomorrow, so we could take a look at this example, same idea. If CPI comes out as very positive for the dollar tomorrow, or figure tomorrow, it's probably going to be a positive factor for the USD and could help us clear the highs for the dollar bulls. Vice versa, if inflation comes out as less than expected, that would put a damper on this massive bull run that we've seen. And, we start marking up our charts. We do the same process that we just did. There's a couple levels of support if you're a buyer in this market. For me, a key spot would be if you're wanting to short the dollar, if you are trying to fight this trend, I would say number one, it's rest in peace to you. Good luck. But I'm kidding. I mean, I think that the dollar is probably extended, but I think shorting it is a really tough game to play until we see some signs that it has a good chance of coming down. And that would probably, in my opinion, start with lowering the CPI numbers. If we see inflation come down, if we see that sort of story topping a little bit, which is what's forecasted to happen, it's possible the dollar could come down. And if it breaks support, that would be the next step to potentially taking this dollar down. And again, the dollar needs to come down for a lot of these other assets. I discussed this on live streams. The stock market under pressure, rising dollar doesn't help that, right? Gold under pressure, rising dollar doesn't help that. So if the CPI cracks tomorrow, if we see inflation really come down a lot more than expected, then the USD could really see a bit of a tumble. And we'll watch to see what happens there. Again, the forecast is for a lowering number. We discussed that earlier. So let me go take a look at that number again. So the forecast actually is for 0.2%. Previously, it was 1.2%. So we're looking for a slowdown. We're looking for a decrease year over year in inflation. And so that's what we're going to be, markets are very paying attention to. If this comes out as higher than expected, like I said, things are going to get uglier before they get better. Vice versa, if they are really, really optimistic, if markets see, inflation is curbing, that would be really good for things like our final market to discuss, which is the S&P 500 or NASDAQ 100. We could take a look at a couple indices. The stock market, man, this thing has been really put under pressure. If you're trading it or you're investing, you know that this is a tough market environment with inflation really cracking down on the bulls. We need a breakout here. And that breakout is probably going to rely on inflation fears curbing a little bit. If that happens, the stock market could be posed for a great little rally. But right now, that is the unlikely scenario that unfortunately markets would love to see, but we're just not seeing it. So we need to see something. We need to see a break of this downward pressure in order for us to get involved with that. So that's what we're looking for, is a breakout here to the other direction, to the upside. So we'll keep tabs on that going into the inflation report tomorrow, and we'll monitor this closely. Remember, if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe if you have not already. We do content like this all the time to keep you guys informed with what's going on in the markets, trade ideas, and much, much more. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Looks like it's time for your next trading video. Check out the videos here and here for more free trading content that should help you in your trading journey. We try and keep it real here, so make sure to subscribe for more content that is down to earth, realistic Forex trading content. See you in the next video.